Football Manager 26 is now fully released, and with a brand new design that has most certainly split opinion, both new and experienced players have struggled to adapt. So to save you the trouble, I'll be showing you 10 things every smart Football Manager player should do when starting a new save. Let's get it started, shall we? So your first smart move to make comes before you are even a football manager on the game, and that is in your setup. First things first, don't pick quick start career. This is going to limit you to just the league you're managing in, a whole lot less enjoyable than if you pick advanced setup. Now once you are through to the advanced setup, make sure you add any league that you want in your save. If there is any league out there that you think that you might move to across your save, add it in. It's all personal preference, but what I would highly recommend is adding all top 5 European leagues. Why is that? They've got the best clubs, they've got the best youth facilities. So when the youth academy gets its new intake every single season, these clubs will populate with the biggest and best wonder kids available. Now you might be thinking to yourself, Leo, what about all the wonder kids and players from the more obscure European nations, South America, Asia, any other part of the planet? Well, we can load them in too. If you go to database size, it will give you your total player count. Make sure you have large selected. This will give you around 3,000 more players. Then go to custom, and then using continents, we can target those players we just mentioned. I would highly recommend having South America and Europe selected because, again, the best players come from these continents. But if you're managing in Africa, Asia, go and load them in as well. What we want to do here is add current international players. This will make sure all of the under 23s, under 21s and under 18s international players are loaded in. Then we want to go to players from top division clubs and players from top clubs. What this will do is load all the players from, say, Santos in Brazil without loading the Brazilian league in, which will make the game go faster but still give you those players to sign and develop for the future. And the same goes for Europe. We don't have, say, the Netherlands loaded, so this will load all of the players from the Eredivisie without loading the Eredivisie itself and having to process what's going on in that league. Now, once you've picked your club and you're into FM26 proper, it is very easy to get overwhelmed. I mean, this is the information dump of all information dumps. And by all means, go have a play around, click around, see where things are. But the most important thing to take note of, at least at the start of the game, is your club's vision and expectations. This can be the difference between a great first season or a very early end. So we're at Brentford and we're in our club vision and expectations meeting. Every single club gets one of these. We want to hover over the club vision tile. We want to open it up and it will give us our actionable objectives, which are things that you must do across the season. Usually it's simple things. Work within the wage budget. But if you're at a real big club, you could have some extra things here, such as win the Premier League if you're Man City. But the most important thing for right now is the culture and the current season plan. These can link towards the end of a season. But for right now, on the culture, we can see that the Brentford board want us to play attacking football, play possession football, play high tempo pressing football. So immediately we know once we get to the tactics, we need to set our team up like this. And then when it comes to the transfers, do not sign players over the age of 29 and sign players from the lower leagues. So again, once we get there, we need to try and stay within these constraints. Okay, so we have got the club vision expectations meeting out the way. We've got all of the introductions out the way. Usually on previous football managers, I would now say go to club and then go to staff, but not on FM26. What I want you to do instead is go to match day, and it's time to get into the bread and butter of FM26, the match day tactics. Now, a very smart move to make once you get into the tactic builder is to go with one of the recommended tactical styles. But not just that, if you remember the expectations from the board, they want to play pressing football, possession football and attacking football. The most like that out of these 3 tactical styles will be gegenpressing. You select it, you can see the in possession team instructions, out of possession team instructions, as well as some staff feedback on what works well and what doesn't with the style. Once you're happy with that, go to the top right, formation, in possession. Again, pick one of the recommended styles. We're just going to pick 4-2-3-1 for now, and then do the exact same for out of possession. Let's just pick a 4-2-2-2. Once you're happy, hit confirm, and before you start getting into the nitty gritty, go to the top right hand corner and press quick pick, and immediately you will get a snapshot of what your staff think your best team is in those recommended setups. So we're on Brentford's in possession tactic, and that gegenpress we selected has put Reiss Nelson in at right wing as an inside winger. You can see this very cool animation on the right hand side that shows you exactly what it does, as well as the key attributes for the role. But on the left, you can see that the game actually values Reiss Nelson as a better wide forward. So we're going to put him in as that. And then you might be thinking, how can I actually check what this does without going into a game? And there, my friends, is where the best new feature of FM26 comes to the fore. And that, of course, is the new visualizer. So this is basically where you get to see all the average positions of the roles you selected. We're now in the build-up phase here on possession, and you can see in the wide forward role, Reiss Nelson is essentially operating as an out-and-out winger. But as we go further up the pitch, he then comes inside and operates similar to a wide poacher forward. However, if we go back and we put him back into the inside winger position or role, and then we go back to the visualizer, you can see in the build-up, he's a lot closer to the striker and he stays there as we go further up the pitch. So use the visualizer as much as you can. It is the best feature on the game. It's so important to building an effective tactic. Use it as much as possible. So the tactic is locked in. The next port of call will be the staff. You want to hover over the club drop down, go to staff. It's going to put up this pop out which gives you a very broad look at what you do and don't have in your staffing setup. So we can see we're missing over half of our coaching team. We've got most of the recruitment team and we've got most of the medical team. So we're going to focus on the coaching team just for this video. If you click on this, it should open up a much more in-depth view. And alarmingly, we can see we've got no performance analysis, no head of youth development, and no assistant manager. No performance analysis means we're not going to be able to analyse how our games are going, which means tweaking the tactics is going to be more difficult. No head of youth development means, well, our youth development's going to suffer. It's going to be a whole lot less likely that we're going to get a wonder kid come through. And no assistant manager. I mean, a Premier League team with no assistant manager. What the fuck is going on there? But how do we fill these roles? There are 3 ways you can do it. I'm going to try and go through them as quickly as possible. The first 2, you don't even have to leave this page. You go to actions and you can place an advert for the roles that you don't have. I'm not going to do that right now because it can take a couple of weeks for you to get enough candidates back to actually get somebody good to fill the role. And then the second option is in under responsibilities. So you click on responsibilities, you go to delegation, you can go to staff responsibilities, ignore all of this and go down to first team staff recruitment. And you can see all the different roles that you can hire and fire for. If you click on your name, you can then go and delegate this to another person who's higher up the food chain. So for example, the director of football or the technical director. I'm going to pick the technical director because usually they have got a better attribute, which is judging staff ability. You want good, at least good, if you're going to delegate this to somebody else. We've got somebody who's very good, so we won't have to touch anything else now. We can just go and play the save, and Lee Dykes will go around hiring and firing the staff. But if you want to do it yourself, you can do it manually. And in order to do that, you want to go up to the recruitment tab. Once the page loads, you want to go to staff database. This will just give you a giant list of all the available staff in the game. But we want an assistant manager right now. So we go to edit search, make sure the staff role is the assistant manager. But of course, we want a good assistant manager. So we go add attribute, highlight key attributes for a role, go to management roles. If this doesn't actually apply first time, just pick any other role and then go back to your assistant manager. The game is admittedly quite buggy.
You don't say!
But we can see people management, judging player potential, judging player ability is all selected, and they will all be at least very good at those attributes. So you click apply, and we can see a giant list of assistant managers that would be willing to come to Brentford if we offered them a decent contract. So all your vacancies are filled in. It's now time to go through scouting. I'm not going to go through every single part of scouting just because that could be an entire video all by itself. But what we're going to do is go to recruitment focuses, and you will see all of the default focuses your club already has going on. We're going to ignore all of those. We're just going to go to the left-hand side and we're going to go create new recruitment focus. And this is where every smart manager sets up focuses so they can find the best wonder kids as quickly as possible in a new save. So we're going to leave this to any position. Then we're going to go next. We're going to call it under 21 South America. Now, when it comes to minimum current ability, you can play around with this. But what I would say at least to do is have it on 5 white stars. I like to drop it down to 4 white stars because then you just get a giant list of players coming through. And then with the minimum potential ability, I kind of leave it on 2.5 stars, to be honest, because you've got to remember, when a young player gets scouted, unless you scout them to full knowledge and you know absolutely everything about them, a 2.5 star player could become a 4.5 star player or even more. And then because we're doing it to under 21s, it'll be between 15 years old, 21 years old, choose an area, continent, South America, and then we're going to make this ongoing. If it is top or standard, the recruitment focus at some point will finish. If you leave it on ongoing, you'll never have to touch it again. And then when it comes to the assigned scouts, ideally, you will be picking somebody that does not have a recruitment focus already on the go, an active focus. Unfortunately, that's not the case for us. So we're going to pick some scouts that only have one. Now, because it's in South America, we want the best adaptability because they're going to the other side of the planet. They can adapt to that country better than people that have just got average or competent. So we're going to pick Felipe Oliveira and Simon Tracy. Hit confirm and you will see down the bottom we've got our new recruitment focus. Now, unfortunately, because we've just started it, we've got no players. But I'm going to show you on screen right now what it looks like in just 2 months' time. So I've jumped over to a Tottenham save where I'm a lot further into the future, well, into the first season, using a very similar scouting method, under 21s, but specifically Brazil and Argentina. We have found somebody called Rayhan from Brazil, A-, 10 to 14 million, can play on the right or as a striker. He looks very good and he looks like a player that will become an absolute beast on FM26. But before you just go and lump 10 to 14 million on him, it's worth going to actions and asking the agent about availability. Here you'll be able to find his wage demands, his playing time demands, and get a bit more of a better idea of his actual transfer price. So we're going to say that we're interested, and we can immediately see that the 10 million has gone to 9.6 million. But alarmingly, he expects to be a star player and play as many matches as possible. Now, you can try and reduce this, but they don't really budge too much. They usually only go down one level. So he'll go from star player to being an important player, which means this signing is just not going to happen, especially at this stage of the game. And one quick bonus tip for you when it comes to when you actually make the transfer bid. We're on Martin Fernandez here. He can play right back, left back or centre back, 19 years old, A+ rating, looks phenomenal. When it comes to actually making the offer, make sure you go to additional clauses, percentage of profit from next sale, and then click on this padlock here and say remove and exclude. Oftentimes, when you go and put a bid in for a young player, the team will put one of these clauses in for like 30 to 40%. So in the future, when you go to sell them, you won't actually make as much as you would plan to. So it can really come and bite you in the arse. Now, the next area any smart manager must understand on FM26 is squad dynamics. This is essentially the emotional state of your squad. Yes, who knew? Football players are absolute divas. At the start of a save, you'll just be picking your captains, your vice captains, but you want to take note of the hierarchy of the squad. You're going to be able to see your team leaders and highly influential players. You can also see influential and other players, but when it comes to the impact an unhappy player can have on the squad, highly influential and team leaders are much more important. In fact, one wrong move here can make a terrific season turn into a terrible season. Case in point, we had a great start with Tottenham Hotspur where we were winning most of our games at the start of the Premier League season, and then as we hit the end of November, Richarlison, who is a highly influential player, started to moan about game time. I didn't deal with it correctly and it just absolutely snowballed into an entire drama where eventually we had the entire team wanting to talk to us to sort it out. That didn't go well. He gave a TV interview where he demanded to leave. Next thing you know, our form fell off a cliff. Make sure you pay attention to players that moan and your squad dynamics. So the heavy lifting is almost done when it comes to the smart moves you can make at the start of an FM26 save, and what better place to finish that heavy lifting than with the training. First of all, on the training page, we want to open up the big training page. Far too many clicks on FM26, I'm so sorry. But we can see on the left hand side, we can actually assign training week. So we want to go to tactical early, and we actually want to keep this as tactical early because it will be training our tactic. Ignore me, we want to go to normal mid, and we want to change normal mid to tactical. We just want to basically repeat this all the way down for pre-season. It might be worth keeping in a few normals just so you can get the endurance of players up. Tactics are a lot more important, in my opinion, than training physicals at the start of the season. It's not just the team we got to get into shape, it's the players too. We're on Reece Nelson. Earlier, we figured out that he's a better wide forward than inside winger. We assigned him to that wide forward role. We want to go to performance, training, and then we want to assign him to the role training of the wide forward. You can also do the out of possession role. Admittedly, I can't remember what we set that to. And then you can also do individual training focus. So if he is weak in a certain spot, you can then go and focus on that, and then training intensity, normal, double or half. At the start of a game, just leave this on normal unless you are a youth player. So this is Ramel Donovan. This is Brentford's best player in the under-21s. What you want to do with these youth talents is go to performance, do exactly what we just did with Reece Nelson, but you want to get into their individual training and set them to double intensity at least until you start properly playing them in your team. If they are in the under-21s or under-18s, keep them on double intensity and just watch their attributes fly. Now, for our 9th smartest moves to make at the start of an FM26 career, it is all to do with the UI. It is a mess, to be honest with you. It is laggy to load pages, far too many clicks to find different things. We've got pop-ups, we've got full-on pages that come up from those pop-ups. It is a mess, just general mess. So thank God to SI and Football Manager that they've added bookmarks this year. I think that they were called something else in FM24, but they've been made more of a feature this year. And you can see that I have added 12 out of 12 bookmarks. If I took out fixture schedule, I could add any of these that I wanted. If you're on a smaller screen, you won't get 12. If you're on a larger screen, I think 12 actually might be the maximum. But anyway, definitely sort out bookmarks because it just means that you can get to different screens a whole lot quicker than having to remember all the clicks that you have to get through. But that's not the only thing that can help you navigate this game, because they've also added a new search bar functionality. So if we go into the search bar, say we couldn't remember how to find staff responsibilities and you wanted to delegate a whole bunch of stuff to them, we could just type in responsibilities, click on this down below, and we are straight into the responsibilities page. That works for every single page on the game. You just have to remember what the page is actually called, because if I called this staff responsibilities, we don't get the page. We just get an FMpedia that tells us what staff responsibilities actually are. Now, I've listed this as the 10th smartest thing you can do at the start of an FM26 save, but to be honest, it's probably number 1. And it's just to have fun on your first save. It's a new game in a new era. Just treat your first save like a learning experience, a playground. If you want to go and spend 100 million on a player that definitely isn't 100 million, go and spend 100 million on a player that isn't 100 million. If you want to go and sell all of your key players, go and do it. Just play around, see what works, what doesn't, have some fun. Become a genuine smart football manager, and then once you start your second proper save, you'll be ready to go. And that is that. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope I've been able to teach you guys a little bit something about FM26. If I have done so, please do smash a like, smash a subscribe. There's plenty more videos to come across the FM26 cycle. I would love to hear from you how you're finding the game so far, what you've struggled with, what you found to be just a great addition. I am loving that visualizer, if you couldn't tell earlier. But in the meantime, have a good one, and I shall see you in the next one. Peace.